Every day, all over the country, millions of people are struggling to find the cash they need to make ends meet or to realise their dreams.
Applying to get a top-up on my loan.
50, 65.
Thank you, Lisa.
OK.
We are looking to offer you a loan.
Many struggle to qualify for high street borrowing, making them vulnerable to illegal loan sharks.
I'm looking back now and I realised the APR for that loan was nearly 800%, which is...
But there are a growing number of community banks or credit unions that are offering a helping hand, whilst at the same time supporting the local area.
The confidence and the support I received empowered me to think bigger.
From household emergencies to kick-starting a new life or business.
She started from zero and she became a hero.
It's such an amazing story. Very crazy, but here we are.
We're following some of these life-changing stories.
We wouldn't have been able to set it up like this if we didn't have that loan.
It basically meant that something that I never thought I'd ever do in my life was actually going to happen.
Dreams can come true with a bit of hard work and financial assistance. If I didn't get that done, then this wouldn't have been possible.
So it's a win-win situation, really.
Today, a Cornish couple borrow money to transform access for the blind.
Our product in the future could help thousands of people all around the world.
To lock the door, turn the handle upward.
A council worker needs a loan to help save his home.
Potentially, my property could have been taken back by the mortgage company.
And how community finance is helping a Nigerian woman develop a tasty business.
I've done the cooking, I've done the presenting, and I've gotten excellent feedback. It's worth it, absolutely worth it.
Thank you. Can I please apply for a loan?
Sure.
Thank you.
Most of us rely on credit.
The funds will reach your account between 3 and 5 this afternoon.
Whether for a new car, mortgage or mobile phone, it's part of modern life. So much so, the average UK household now has £13,000 of unsecured debt.
I was relying on credit cards and just continued throughout my 20s in kind of free fall.
Although borrowing can be positive for the vast majority of us, taking out high-cost credit from payday loans or illegal moneylenders can easily lead into a rapid spiral of unmanageable debt.
You may be borrowing £100, but you're going to be paying back £300. So it just doubles and triples in price, and that's when things start to get hairy.
But there are alternatives.
Hello, good morning.
Got some ID on you, please?
Yeah,
Thank you.
The membership number?
Credit unions are community-based organisations that encourage members to save as well as providing low-cost loans.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Take it easy.
They've been around in the UK since the 1960s and today are having something of a revival.
Credit unions have social objectives which are of equal or greater priorities than their commercial objectives. We don't exist simply to make a profit.
Morning. Thank you. Cheers. Thanks.
There are over 400 credit unions across the UK, including the Lewisham and Bromley in South London.
This credit union's been going for 25 years, since 1992. We have about 12,000 active members. We have £5 million worth of assets and savings in this credit union. They have well over £4 million of those assets and savings by saving a small amount of money. That has created a pool of money which we can on-lend to other people.
What's your membership number, please?
It's Tuesday morning, and the staff are getting ready for one of the busiest days of the week.
Good morning, Ravi.
We'll have quite a lot of footfall today.
The queue is forming out there, as usual, Tuesday morning.
Tuesdays normally tend to be the busiest days for us.
Tuesday morning is a day when a lot of people get their benefit income, so probably it's a child benefit day.
It can be chaotic at times.
We've had queues at the door and down the street.
Good morning.
Good morning, can I help you?
One member coming through the door today is Mum Janet, who wants a loan for a special gift for one of her children.
It will be my daughter's 25th birthday, and I did promise if she passed her test, I would get her a car, and I'm living up to my promise. I'm here to hand in an application form for a loan.
Okay, let's see.
I'm looking about 1,000, 1,500. She has been through a lot during her study at university, and she's working now, so she's able to do her payment, but I am going to give her the first start. I promised that to her, and I'm going to live up to my promise.
Hi there, come on in.
Hi Ingrid.
Good morning. Take a seat, my darling.
Thank you. She has been here a long time.
Oh,
You've been here a long time, Ingrid.
Yes?
You've been.
Yeah, I have. I see you still have regular money
Every
come
month.
through?
Yes, every month.
What is the loan for?
I did promise my daughter, and passing her test is her 25th birthday. I'm going to help her towards a car.
All right.
She's been through a lot. She was now well in university studying. She has managed to finish, graduate, and she's now working. And she wants a car to move herself around, Mom, to pick you up from work, to help you go shopping. She's willing to do her monthly payment on her car, but I want to give her a start as a mother.
Hopefully they appreciate it.
She does,
as
you
they
know.
get
She's
older.
an angel, I'm telling you. I'm a member of the credit union for more than 10 years. I save monthly with them. I had loan once before, many years ago.
You have 100 coming through.
Every month.
Is that how much you'd like to be doing to your loan, or would you like it whereby we do a portion of that to the loan?
If you do some to the loan and leave a bit for the saving in case of
So
any...
you've got a little something to emergency money?
Yes, that's it.
Absolutely.
And
what we'll do, once we have a decision,
yes,
I'll call you.
No problem.
And we'll get you along. All right, my darling.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
Janet.
I'm feeling comfortable. I'm just leaving it now to hear from them.
Will Ingrid's sums add up for Janet to get her loan? We'll be returning to Lewisham later.
Good afternoon, you're through to Clockwise. You're speaking to Joe. Thanks ever so much for waiting. How can I help?
Up and down the country, ethical not-for-profit lenders are transforming communities with financial assistance, often to people who wouldn't otherwise be able to borrow. In Cornwall, husband and wife team Steve and Helen needed a loan for a business idea they believe will transform millions of lives, not just here in the UK, but worldwide.
To lock the door, turn the handle upward.
They've invented an audio device to help the blind. It automatically describes in detail the layout of a room.
Welcome. If you are visually impaired and would like a recorded description of this room, please wave your hand immediately in front of this unit to the left of the door.
The idea was a personal project for Steve. He has a degenerative eye disease which has forced him out of the job he loved.
I was a satellite communications engineer, really at the forefront of satellite communications in those days, and I thoroughly enjoyed the job. I had to leave due to my failing eyesight, which is retinitis pigmentosa, which basically starts off as night blindness and tunnel vision and progressively gets worse. In the end, it's like looking down a Smarties tube, is how I describe it. I knew it was going to get worse and worse, and 3 years ago, the tunnel closed in. Now I can't see anything at all.
From an active guy who loved boats and motorbikes, Steve now had to learn how to get around without his sight.
I was bumping into things and tripping over curbs. I wanted to be able to cope by myself, but the more it went on, the more I realised that I couldn't actually cope on my own. So I applied to the council for mobility training, and that's really where I met Helen.
Right, tell him to go in.
She was the mobility officer who was working in Cornwall at the time.
Steve and Helen are now married, and for the last 11 years, she's been by his side, helping him adjust to his loss of sight.
It's only when you change direction in front of me.
Oh, OK.
Apart from my environment where I live, where I can get around by myself, because everything's very, very familiar, I need Helen or someone else to guide me. But there's one place where you don't want anybody to come in with you.
All right, Steve, here we are, and
That is a disabled access toilet.
Steve found what should be a vital convenience to be a humiliating experience.
If I want to use the toilet, someone has to tell me where everything is in the room before I use it. I can either find a stranger who will guide me around, which can be very embarrassing, or else I'm left with the choice of groping around the room, using my cane if I've got one. So that has been the problem up till now.
After a solo trip to a public toilet, Steve came up with the idea for a detailed audio description of a room layout.
About 5 years ago, I was at Plymouth railway station and I used the disabled access toilet and became disorientated, couldn't find the door out. And I went round and round the room and I just could not find the handle for the door. And in the end, I found the emergency pull cord, so I pulled that and one of the station staff helped me out. But that's just a typical scenario of what can happen. Myself and my wife, Helen, thought there must be some other way of making it easier. So we came up with the idea of the roommate.
Steve and Helen have invented an automatic audio device that describes in detail the layout of the room.
And this is the unit. There's 2 sensors. One sensor is here on the side, which detects a person coming into the facility, and that usually casts a beam across the door frame. And this is the sensor that you wave your hand over in order to activate the full script.
The emergency pull cord is in front, on the left of the toilet when seated.
The usual reaction is, well, that is so obvious. Why hasn't someone come up with this before? And we just smile back, but no one's ever actually gone ahead and put audio description in a disabled access toilet. There are actually more registered visually impaired than there are wheelchair users.
Which is pretty shocking, really, when you think about that, that the catering is done for somebody with the physical needs, but not somebody with a sensory need.
Steve and Helen ploughed everything they had into developing a prototype, but they ran out of cash.
It was a real struggle in the beginning because you seem to just be piling money in on it all the time. We realised quickly that our savings were running out. We were spending a lot of money on all the development of the business and realising that we were going to need extra help to move forward.
Steve and Helen's first thought was to get a loan on the high street.
I did approach the bank to see whether we could get a substantial loan from them. And basically, I was told that the interest rates would be extremely high and probably, even coming from the manager, that probably a high street bank was not our best option to go for.
So they approached Mark Fair from Southwest Investment Group for a business startup loan.
When Helen and Steve first came to us with the business plan, they'd actually had taken on a lot of advice and support. There were a few tweaks that we needed to make with that plan, but by and large, it was very well presented. They wanted to raise £10,000. They had gone through a research and development stage where they've actually proven the concept and actually built their prototype, and were now ready to take their product to market.
They had a little think about it. They came back and said, yes, we'll lend you the £10,000. That tidied us over for a while.
The sort of things that we're looking out for is that does the amount fit what they need, and does it feel right lending that kind of amount to those individuals, and that, you know, if is there a strong evidence that they can actually repay that debt?
We've actually got a viable product out there now which we can sell.
It's tremendous. It's, you know, it's what we get job satisfaction from. Actually seeing somebody have the nerve to go and try and launch something of this and actually make a success of it, you know, it gives me great satisfaction.
2 years on, the project is selling well.
We have actually got 41 units out there now. We've got the Eden project, the Maritime Museum, We do have one in a shopping complex in Northumbria.
We've still got to get our first hotel. We've still got to get our first sports stadium. There's a lot of potential out there.
None of us take any of the funds from the business. Everything that is profit is ploughed straight back into the business so that we can just keep the social aspect of the business going forward, so that we want to be able to continue manufacturing Roommate and getting it out there for the benefit of visually impaired people.
Without the £10,000 loan, I don't think that we'd have had the leg up, and our product in the future could help thousands of people. It's not just thousands of people in Britain, but it's all around the world. Eventually, we would like it to become actual law that all disabled access toilets are provided with audio description.
In Lewisham,
20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100.
Hello, can I help you? Janet's returned to the credit union to see if she's got her loan to help fund a special birthday present.
I put in for a loan to help towards the deposit of a car for my daughter. I did ask for about 1,500, so hopefully, I don't know what the agreement is, but I'm positive. But is it a yes or a no?
Okay, no problem. Bye.
Hello, Miss Williams, my next appointment. Do come in.
Hello, Ingrid.
Hello, my lovely. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
Now, you're looking for a loan for a gift for your daughter.
I am.
You're looking for a car. Now, I know you asked for a slightly larger amount of loan, which was 1,500.
Yes.
Now, unfortunately, it wasn't a straightforward loan. However, they are prepared to offer you £1,000
That's fine.
loan. Is that?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
so
fine.
what that means is we can say to you, yes, we're happy to do a loan for you.
Thank you.
For £1,000, you have to sort your daughter out.
I was positive, but I was, oh my God. She's going to think, oh, Mom, why did you do this?
But she'll be happy
I
for
know.
it.
I'm going to get the benefit of it also.
Of course
Because
you
you
will.
promised me to pick me up from work, take me shopping, so I'm going to get the benefit.
Well, it's going to make it easier for you
all
as a
of us.
family.
Yes, thank you.
Isn't it?
Yes, yes. Thanks, Ingrid.
You know, so you're looking at about £80
That's fine.
a month, and you're
That's
all right
fine.
with that?
Yes, that's fine.
We'll
And
leave
how
it like
long
this.
is it for?
Well, it will take you 15 months.
That's fine. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for your decision.
You're more than welcome. It's been an absolute pleasure dealing with you, madam. All right, my lovely.
I am so happy. They have granted me the loan. Not all the amount that I want, but I'm still happy for what has been done. And the interest is low, so what I'm supposed to pay back is affordable. So I'm so happy about it.
She shouldn't have been so surprised to have got a yes, but because she's been a very good member.
Fine, yes, yes. Something that I promised, I've been fulfilled. So I'm really happy. I'm going to give my daughter a surprise, but I won't be telling her until the day of her birthday when she'll receive the envelope.
Still to come, a loan helps bring a taste of Nigeria to Wales.
There's a demand for it, and they saw a future in what I was doing.
And a council worker faces a big bill for property repairs.
It is a big thing. Potentially, my property could be taken back by the mortgage company.
6 million people in the UK either do not have a bank account or struggle to pay for all their outgoings from their account. Many turn to doorstep or payday lenders to make ends meet.
Done it a few times, and they're good at the time, but they're not always the best option for long-term financial benefit, if you know what I mean, yeah.
I can understand that some people, especially with like pressures from bank or like other places, might be forced into doing something like that.
I have previously taken out a payday loan, and if you spend beyond your means, on top of the percentage added, you end up putting yourself in more of a financial crisis.
A loan shark will be somebody who lends money at extortionate rates.
They should be avoided at all costs.
Doorstep loans can be handy for small sums over a short period. They're particularly tempting when an agent calls at your home to hand out ready cash. But as 45-year-old Simon found out, it can also add up to a financial nightmare.
Me and my wife met when we were teenagers. For me, it was love at first sight. We hadn't been together for long, but Jenny fell pregnant early in the relationship, and yeah, it's one of those things when you find out your first child's coming along and you're at a young age, and you do start to panic a little bit, saying, you know, how am I going to bring another life into this world? And I was unemployed at the time. Where's the next penny coming from? How are we going to cope? You've got to have a cot, you've got to have a pram. We did the best that I can by maybe getting second-hand things or whatever as well, but yeah, it was a struggle with your first child coming along.
To afford the essentials, Simon and Jenny started borrowing from doorstep lenders.
At first we had someone knocking on the door with like high street vouchers, and you can pay for these vouchers weekly. There's no credit checks, there's nothing to get these vouchers, and then they actually come to your door and collect the money from you every week. And then once you're a couple of payments in, the same company would come and knock on your door and say, oh, we've got some cash here, £200–300, would you like a cash loan? And then a couple of payments later, they come back and say, oh, you're doing well, you're keeping up your payments, do you want some more? And it would just like keep on adding and adding on top. You're not looking at what interest you're paying back or what the payment terms were. As long as you could afford them payments, you would accept to take the money.
As well as doorstep loans, Simon and Jenny started buying from mail order catalogues.
Catalogues can do a thing where they say buy now, pay later, which knocks your payments down, but also brings up the total that you pay back and sometimes doubles it. So I was paying back the lesser payments, but then all the interest was going back on top. I was hardly paying anything off it.
Simon was working as a delivery driver and doing DIY jobs to bring in money to provide for his growing family. But it wasn't enough.
I didn't have a lot of money, and I want my kids to have what I didn't have. I want it better for my kids. I want them to have what they want, really. And that's another reason why we did take the money off the doorstep lenders and we did do the catalogue, because we want the best for your family. Once this little credit facility came along, we used it and probably abused it, because in time we couldn't afford to pay back what we owed. And yeah, we got into a lot of debt. I think I realised when we'd gone too far, when the money that we had coming in wouldn't add up to the money that was going out, and you weren't having anything left to spend on shopping or anything like that. So what we did is we stopped paying like the doorstep lenders, stopped paying the catalogues. But what you don't understand, what we didn't understand at the time, is if you don't pay, then more interest goes on. And it just kept on amounting up and amounting up and amounting up. And any letters that come through the door, we would just ignore. I would put them in a drawer and just ignore everything. You just buried your head in the sand and you just think it's going to go away, it's going to go away. If I don't open it, I don't know about it. When you ignore the letters and you ignore the people knocking on the doors, it's hard. It does play on your mind. I can even remember hiding behind a sofa while someone's knocking on the door, and you're like, you're just trying to get away from them, and it's not very nice. It is a hard place to be. My total debt altogether was around £13,000 with different things: doorstep lenders, catalogues, a couple of credit cards.
After 10 years, Simon finally decided it was time to deal with the debts.
People were saying, look, why don't you go for bankruptcy? And I thought to myself, I've built up this debt, I've got to pay this debt off. So I got in touch with a debt agency.
The debt agency helped Simon examine his finances. With their guidance, he consolidated several loans into one, which offered a lower interest rate to make repayments less expensive.
Anything that come through the door, any letters, I passed it on to them. Anyone who phoned me, I said, look, I'm with a debt company, and give them the details of the debt company. And it just lifted a full weight off my shoulders. Yeah, okay, I pay back a small amount each month, and I'm still paying a little bit back each month, but my debts are coming down. I think my debts are around £3,000 now.
Getting control of his money proved to be a turning point for Simon. He found out about his local credit union, and for the first time, he started saving. It's become such an important part of his life. He's now on the board of directors.
The reason I wanted to start helping out is that I didn't want other people to do what I did. And if I can help people by not getting into that situation, even one person, for me, it's helped someone else not do what I did. Sometimes it's hard to talk about your situation, but if you don't talk about your life experiences, no one else is going to learn by them. I've learned by them, so why can't someone else learn by them? If I could put myself into my 19-year-old body now, I would definitely have done it a different way. Now I'm the dad with 7 kids, and my eldest lives in America, and yeah, I've grown up. It's me now, and if I help one person not get into debt through doorstep lenders or loan sharks, then I'm happy.
Simon is still working through his debt, but is now financially stable.
Family means everything. And yeah, okay, did all the bad things years ago by getting into debt, but I'm just glad where I am now. And I'm glad I've got my family backing me up and being there for me. And I'm glad I can be there for my family.
Like Simon, over 1.3 million people in the UK regularly take out high-interest doorstep loans. Nick Hill from the Money Advice Service explains how they work.
A doorstep loan is a lender who'll turn up to your door to collect their money when it's owed. Typically, the interest rates are quite high and the amounts they'll lend are relatively low, of £50 to £500.
Hannah Mondrell is from money.co.uk.
Doorstep lenders are regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. The key difference between them and loan sharks is that they are regulated entities. They do have to treat you in a certain way, but they will still come to your home to ask you to repay the money that you've borrowed, either on a weekly or monthly basis, depending on what you've agreed, but you will have face-to-face contact with the people that you're borrowing from. A doorstep loan can seem like a really flexible way to borrow because you can get access to relatively small loans which you might struggle to get elsewhere from traditional banks. The key thing is they tend to be a much more expensive way to borrow.
I wouldn't be advocating doorstep loans. If somebody told me that they were thinking of getting a doorstep loan, I would try and help them understand what's going on with their money and why the reasons behind they feel that doorstep loan is their only option. If it is their only option, then it's more important than ever that they get free help as soon as possible, because you're not alone. There are people who want to help you, so it's really important you get help as soon as possible. If your money is really getting out of control, chances are this is your first step down a slippery slope, and so it's really important that you figure out how you can get your budget in control. It can be really hard. Sometimes you've got limited income or you have a surprise cost which hit you. So it's really important that you find an effective plan. And if the money has got out of control, then maybe it's time to get free debt advice. You can start by going to the Money Advice Service website and use our free debt advice locator tool.
Credit unions can be a lifeline for their members.
Can I have £50 in?
Sometimes the loans offered aren't just wanted, they're absolutely essential. Like council worker Anthony, who's found it's not just his finances, but his home that's in a precarious position.
So the area I live in, not very far from here, there's quite a lot of subsidence generally in the area. And on our property, there's been a lot of work undertaken over the years to kind of stabilise the property. And for several years now, I've had large bills for repairs. I've had another large bill this year, and it's just beyond my means to pay it within my existing savings. And it could potentially be quite serious. My mortgage company decided that they no longer could sustain the current arrangements in terms of extending my mortgage.
So to help prop up his finances, he's applied for a credit union loan.
He's asking for about £3,500. Now, he hasn't had a loan before, so this will be what we call a full assessment. We're going to look at affordability, and then we're going to do a credit check on him and see how he shapes up in terms of what he's after.
My credit rating isn't very good, so when I've previously gone to my bank for a loan, obviously I looked at my credit rating, and even though potentially I could pay back quite a big loan within my existing wage that I get, but because my credit score isn't very good, they declined.
As Anthony's been a member of the credit union for a number of years, loans advisor Ingrid wants to help, but she still needs to ensure he can afford to repay a loan.
He is stating he has no debts. So we're looking at evidence of income, evidence of address, proof you are who you say you are. And those are regulations for all bankers, whether they be credit unions or the big high street banks.
Ingrid needs a second opinion from manager Ravi.
Oh, come on in.
Hi, Ingrid.
Hi, Ravi. Oh, lovely. Thank you for taking the time. There are some issues here.
I looked at that.
Did you have a look at this for us?
The history is poor, but I think there may be a reason why that is so. So if you can find out what it is.
Yes.
And then we'll go from there.
That possibly we could try and do something. I think perhaps we have to look at less.
We know most of our members personally, and we understand their issues and problems, and some of them have been with us for years. So we, like to help them as much as possible, and we go through all these extra checks and balances before we actually say yes or no. Because at the end of the day, we are lending our members money and we are responsible.
He has taken on a leasehold. He's had it for 12 years. For the last 5 or 6 years, the properties that he has have been subsiding, and therefore all those homeowners have had to pay for that, really, which has been at unexpected costs. So he's made an application to try and save his home. Which is obviously why we are looking to discuss it, because we don't want to just dismiss a member out of hand if there is something we can do to help them.
We don't want him to go into a worse situation than he is, but he needs to save his home, and this is going to help him.
Yeah, and he's already worked to clear any other outstanding items. So this is going to be his main focus now.
I think he's been rather unlucky, really.
I think he's been very unlucky.
Subsidence, it's a nightmare.
Anthony will have to wait to find out if Ravi and Ingrid can help him keep a roof over his head. Even a modest loan can be life-changing and put people like 44-year-old Heidi on a path they never thought possible. It's 2 in the morning in Cardiff, and Heidi is hard at work in her kitchen.
We have the plantain prep, the sauces, the beef is almost cooked. The most important thing when you're cooking the Nigerian dish is about the seasoning, getting the right flavors in.
In 8 hours' time, the mother of 3 will be catering for 60 delegates at a local business event. It's her biggest commission since she started her Nigerian food business. If all goes well, it could change her fortunes.
The chopping and the preparation done. So I have a friend here helping me to do that. So that will definitely cut down the time and hopefully get us there for 8 o'clock.
Friend Danny is helping cook up beef stew, fried chicken, rice and plantain mossa.
Really enjoy working with Heidi. It's really interesting to see Nigerian food. It's something that's new to myself. It's something I could eat every day, I think.
Heidi started her food business after her mother died in 2015.
My mom was a wonderful woman. She influenced everything that I have done so far up until now. She was just a strong influence in how she brought up her girls.
At the time, Heidi had been doing a PhD in environmental studies, but her mother's death made her rethink the direction her life was heading.
When my mom died, that shook my world. I didn't know quite what to do with my life. It's a realization that there's a lot more to life than doing a PhD research that I'm not sure who's going to benefit from looking at it at the end of the day.
Heidi decided to quit her course and took comfort from cooking up her mum's favourite recipes.
I never really liked being in the kitchen, but then I went to uni and I had to start cooking. And I think that was where my mom's influence came, because I saw the little differences, the tweaks that she gave to traditional dishes to make it a little bit more hers.
She found a local gap in the market, went out one day with Danny.
I was having coffee with Danny right on the street market, and I just mentioned it that, I don't know if they have any kind of Nigerian food. I spoke to the street manager, and he said, Nigerian food? No, they don't have anything like that. And the whole idea was to start with doing the street market, just doing snacks. So snacks like chin-chin, puff-puff, all made from wheat.
It wasn't long before the word spread.
Then people come in to ask me, do I cater for event? Do I have a shop somewhere? Do I have a restaurant? And I'm thinking, no, this is all I have. This is, it's just a street food business that I'm doing. So that made me to be aware that there's a demand for it, and there will come a time where I would need to expand.
To take her business to the next level, Heidi needed around £1,500 to buy thermal boxes, a freezer and extra stock. But she'd already invested all her savings.
I decided not to go to the traditional financial institutions because I didn't meet some of the requirements that would have been considered for a startup like mine. For example, my business was not up to 6 months, and my credit wasn't fantastic as well. Hiya.
Morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Instead, Heidi turned to a not-for-profit finance company, Purple Shoots, founded by Karen Davies, to support small Welsh businesses.
Heidi came to me looking for some funding for additional equipment, and the first time I met her I could see why she needed it. I met her at her stall in the middle of Cardiff, and it was early afternoon and she'd already sold out of her food. I couldn't try any because it had all gone. So I could see that a small amount of funding to buy some extra equipment would mean that she could trade all the way through the day and increase her income straight away.
For the process with Purple Shoots, there's no pressure. You're given all the information. It's more of a discussion, and they're really they're really interested to see you grow, your business grow, and have that impact on the community. And they saw a future in what I was doing.
It was an easy decision, really, to lend her the money. She was already doing it. She was already proving the demand. Street food is quite a growing thing, especially in cities like Cardiff. Then she had on top of that a part of the business that did catering for events. So she had another string to her bow, another possibility. So that made the business even stronger.
A minimum of 7.
It's been 12 hours since Heidi started cooking for the delegates, and they're eager to sample her Nigerian fare.
So it's lunchtime, so I'm about to get the buffet all ready. I'm hoping that it will be as nice as I think it will be.
I think it's delicious. Very good.
Prepared to the standard that you would have in your house, so it's really good.
Great.
Yeah, it's great.
Really enjoying it.
Amazing.
Yeah. I just come from Nigeria last year. I spent 6 months there, so it's delicious. It's really nice.
They're really loving the food, and I've done so many events similar to these ones, and to be honest, it seems like this one they're enjoying the most.
Heidi's business is responding to a gap in the market. She knows there's a market out there, and she's gone for it, and she's making it a success, and that's the sort of business we want to support.
I've been up for 14 hours now. I've done the cooking, I've done the presenting, and I've gotten excellent feedback. It's been worth it, absolutely worth it. If my mom was here, she'd be absolutely thrilled. Without proper shoes, I won't be standing here today. That's for sure.
In Lewisham, it's Judgment Day for council worker Anthony.
I'm at the credit union to get a decision for a loan application I made about 10 days ago. I'm an owner-occupier. I've had very large bills for repairs. I don't have the capacity to pay within my savings, so I need a loan to pay for it.
Somebody in this situation, oftentimes a bank will let you lose your home and they will make that profit by foreclosing on you. Credit union is it, don't make a mistake, we're interested in profit. It's what keeps us alive and what keeps us a viable business. But we work in our community for our community. And there's not much more important than your home. And if we can help you, that's what we're going to try and do.
Do you know your membership number?
Please come in. I'm sorry to have kept you.
That's okay.
So do they think this is the end for your housing issue with the maintenance?
So I'm hoping it is, because there's been a lot of work over the years and the bulk of the work has been done.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting any large bills going forward.
Like that one?
Yeah.
Okay. It was a case that this is what we would call a borderline. And so we're not able to offer you the full 3,500. We are happy to do 3,000. So it's just under kind of what you wanted. It's going to take 2 years, yeah? And it'll be about 500
So the total I
overall.
will repay will be 3,500.
3,500 overall. But the quicker you clear it, cheaper it will be.
That's a very attractive thing, that you are able to pay extra if you want without incurring penalties.
Yes. Sally, if you'd like to just sign there on the bottom. This is yours, sir.
Thank you very much.
I'm really glad we were able to do this for you.
Thank you, Ingrid, and thank everyone at the credit union. So thanks very much. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for giving me the time and enjoy the rest of your day off.
Thanks, then. Okay, then. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm relieved, very pleased, all those things.
It's always nice to do something like this. He's really pulled his situation around and he's back on track.
It is a big thing, because potentially my property could have been taken back by the mortgage company. Could have lost the home.
Since our filming, Helen and Steve have had a whole host of orders for their roommate. And they've been installed in locations as diverse as a Lido in Penzance and Jamie Oliver's 15 restaurant. In Cardiff, Heidi has done 2 more events for the Sub-Sahara Advisory Panel. She's even looking to bring out her own range of bottled sauces.
It's been worth it, absolutely worth it.